everybody out there in YouTube land. So tell me, how are all the beautiful people in the world doing today? What? Someone told you to stay in your house, so you've locked yourself into your home? You've given up your job? You've changed your entire way of life? You've relinquished yourself of all your own personal liberties? In doing so, you very well may have given up your nation. Now, these are kind of important questions, people. Matter of fact, this video this morning is not going to be the normal type of video. I'm not going to stick just with the subject of trucking. And the reason being is because this is important. This may be the most important video that I've ever put out in my life. I normally don't share a lot of things about what I know on YouTube. The reason being is I'm going to tell you, when it comes to the truth and trying to save the world, all that does is bring bad things to me. Because one of the things that I learned back when I was on that campaign trying to save the world, that I learned a very harsh fact. The world doesn't want to be saved. But eventually, even though you don't want to participate in the world, that's one of the reasons why I drive a truck. I really don't want to participate with society. But one thing I like about driving a truck is I get to drive all over the country, and I get to see things with my own eyes of what's really going on. I don't have to rely on, let's just be frank, bullshit information. Now, y'all know, if you've watched my videos, I share knowledge. The way that I do that is I drop a little nugget once in a while, which is fairly ineffective, because when it comes to knowledge, I don't just grab you by the scruff of the neck and rub your nose in it, all right, for you to get it. I'll drop a word or something that you've probably never heard before. Because see, if I just give you my truth, then you're just repeating my truth. It's not your own truth. See, that's the funny thing about truth. Truth only comes to those who seek it. A relationship with God only comes to those who seek Him. Wisdom only comes to those who seek it. Love only comes to those who seek it. Are you starting to see a pattern? Same thing with the truth. The truth only comes to people that seek it. So I'll drop a word in a video here or there to get somebody to go look it up. Do your own investigation. Do your own research. You know, when I say do your own research, that doesn't necessarily go look for somebody else to tell you the answer. That's not research. Study a topic, which brings us back to the Hegelian dialectic. What is that? Hegelian was a guy that, I think it was back in Italy. I'm going to think that it was back in the 1500s, maybe been later than that. The time period isn't so as important as what he devised, the Hegelian dialectic. He came up with a way of how to control the masses. This is a way that you get people to do. See, you can lead people by force, but that's very expensive. That takes armies. You know, that takes a gun. It's expensive to lead by force. And it's also not real effective. Everybody knows the best kind of slave to have is one that doesn't know they're a slave. A person that thinks they're free may have heard this term before. Cause, reaction, solution. Let's talk about what that means. If you want to get the masses to do what you want them to do, or more importantly, allow you to do what you want to do to them or take from them, this is how you do it. Remember in that other video I said me and another guy were talking back 20 years ago and said, hell, if I knew it was that easy to conquer the world, I'd have went for it myself. Because this is the Hegelian dialectic. Cause, reaction, solution. This is how it works. You cause the problem. That's right. You cause the problem. If you don't have a problem, make one up. But you cause the problem. And then you wait for the emotional reaction from the masses. And once you get their reaction, which is generally, oh, please save me, master. Save me from myself. Then you hand them the solution. And this is what you wanted all the time. The right to reach your hand in their pocket. The right to offer their children as cannon fodder in wars that you don't have anything to do with. The right to take their property. The right to change their way of life. All these things are generally affected by cause and effect of the Hegelian dialectic. You know, well, when it comes to managing principalities, a true leader of a principality, there's a gold standard book that they all should read. It's called The Prince. It was written by Nicholas Machiavelli in Italy back in the 1500s. You ought to read that book. Because that book tells you how to manage your kingdom and the different ways to overthrow the neighboring kingdom and acquire it as your own. You ought to read that book. You know, this is my problem when I start sharing knowledge, is I can go off on a lecture and I can sit here and talk about 8 hours and be talking all around the subject that I want. Let me get more direct to my point. The people have been told a lie. They've been told a story. They've been told a fairy tale. The problem is they believe it, which is waiting for the solution. This worries me. It worries me not because others are going to become victim of it. That does bother me. I don't want anybody to be a victim. But I don't want to lose my nation. I don't want to lose my way of life. I don't want my children to lose their way of life. I want us all to be free, make our own decisions, and live the way we want to be lived. But this current situation, I see us losing all of that. You know, we actually, a group of us that actually studied sociology, came to this conclusion that it was going to come to this moment. We started looking at it, 30, 40 years ago. We actually expected this to happen long before today. Well, here it is. what their emotional reaction is to what somebody told them. Seems to be the way of the world today. They're not educated. They've been fed the answer, so it's data in, data out. You know, this is the standard question: A, B, C, or D. Choose, and that's supposed to tell me that you're educated. It does not. It tells me you're a sheep. See, I'm going to get all wound up and emotional here. Well, let's get to the topic at hand. This Hegelian dialectic that you've been fed has been labeled the COVID-19. The COVID-19 virus. Right? You do know that's a coronavirus, right? Everybody pretty much accepted that? That's a coronavirus. Coronavirus is a whole family of viruses. The common cold is a coronavirus. That's the reason why, that the day that you first heard of COVID-19, you went out and bought you a can of Lysol disinfectant. It says it kills 100 different germs and bacteria and whatever, and it lists on the back of the label 100 germs that it kills. And one of them right there was human coronavirus, and y'all went, oh look, it's a conspiracy. They knew that educated pukes, man. The common cold is a coronavirus. You do realize that there is no vaccine for the coronavirus, right? You do understand? Well, no. See, I'm getting wound up here. And there's never gonna be a vaccine for the common cold. It's not ever gonna happen. See, because the coronavirus is not a living virus. It's not. This virus actually operates as a genetic material that basically affects a human cell by infecting it, by going into the receptor of the wall of the human cell. What I understand about this is really not my field of study, but I have studied cannabinoids and how they affect human tissue and how they interact with the human body. That is a science that I do know quite a bit about. Viruses is really not my thing. But let me tell you, when it comes to studying, for instance, any type of science, there are certain laws. The scientific method, how you come to a conclusion, that's very important. If you don't follow the scientific method in peer review, I can go, bullshit. And on this COVID-19 story you've been fed, I'm going to go, bullshit. Because you haven't followed the scientific method. There was a gentleman by the name of Robert Koch in 1890 that said what's commonly referred to today as the Koch postulates. These are the full 4 rules that you have to abide by when involving a infectious disease, a virus. It's very similar to Newton's laws in physics. If I write a paper on physics and I step outside the bound of Newton's laws, when it goes into peer review, everybody's going to go, bullshit. You follow me? Concerning this COVID-19, the Koch postulates have never been fulfilled. Not once scientifically has the COVID-19 virus fulfilled the Koch postulates. And what does that mean? That means that it has never been identified. That means that it has never been isolated. That means that the tests have never been determined on what it even does to the human body. Yet these people are going to stand up in podiums like they're the authority, and the majority of people are going to bend their knee and say, oh, please, Savior, save me. I'm going to tell you that I've been looking at this like it's a load of crap for a while. I just like you, all right? You know, the things that I was hearing at the first scared me to my core, man. I had a trainee on the truck. Man, I set all kinds of parameters on how we were going to live on this truck going through this so-called pandemic. I spent $300 on surgical gloves. Not only did I get hand sanitizers, but I actually got the material to make my own hand sanitizer. And we treated the inside of the truck like a clean room. Now, that's electronics. I mean, I know that's computers, but we kept the inside of the truck sterile the best that we could, which made life for my trainee a living hell on my truck. I'm going to tell you right now. If you stepped outside the truck, you had to put on a set of surgical gloves. Now, you could touch whatever you wanted to, but before you got back in this truck, you had to take those gloves off, throw them away, use hand sanitizer, and get back in my truck. We're not going to cross-contaminate the germs with the outside world with what's inside this truck until I know what's going on. And then I started educating myself. I started reading articles. I started doing research. I started coming to my own hypothesis. I was using the scientific method. And what I come up with, what these people are telling you, is bullshit. You know, Mark Twain said, I love Mark Twain. I love his quotes. He was so wise. But he said, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. Whenever you're overcoming an objection or trying to get somebody to believe your point of view in the arts of persuasion, there's 4 different ways to overcome any objection in a conversation. First of all, you have to identify the objection. Is it a perceived drawback? Is it a misunderstanding? Is it, what's the word for it? Indifference? Or is it skepticism? You know, if it's skepticism, just offer verbal proof. If they don't accept that, give them visual proof, right? And one of the ways that you can use in a verbal proof is a statistic. Now, whenever you use a statistic, it's accepted as a form of authority. There may be no authority. Who come up with the statistic? How was the statistic gathered? What parameters were used in the statistics? Man, I can manipulate numbers to prove any point I want to. It's so easy to tell a lie using statistics. I can pull them out of the air. I can make them up. And people will accept them as facts. Because they haven't done any research. They haven't read any articles. They haven't questioned the material that they're looking at. They haven't done any of that. I get so infuriated when people are telling me something and they're telling me what I think or what I feel. When they tell me that, it tells me that they don't know shit. All they're doing is being a parrot, repeating what they've been told. They don't actually know anything. The coronavirus, COVID-19, has never been isolated. It has never been fulfilled by the 4 laws of the Koch postulates. It hasn't. The statistics that you've been given to cause the fear in you have been manipulated. They've been cooking the numbers. They told you a real good story and they got you really scared. I understand why you did what you did. You gave up your nation. You gave up your way of life. You gave up your individual everything that comes over the tube has become your gospel. I saw it on TV. You know, if it was the truth, it would be on TV, right? You're not going to find any truth on the TV. These are your masters. These are people that control you. And you willfully bend the knee to them. So this is a call to wake up. You're being lied to. What is the end game? The next step, the thing that you're going to hear next is, okay, we all need to take our vaccine. The only way we're going to save the world is everybody take a vaccine. Really? You're going to make a vaccine for, you've never made one for the common cold, have you? Yet I'm supposed to accept in a couple of months you've come up with a vaccine for COVID-19? Bullshit. You think I'm a quack? You think I'm insane? You think I'm just stupid? I'm a nut job? Here's the greatest one. Oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, you've been designed to understand that, the power of words. You've been programmed that all I have to do is say, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. Now you don't have to look at any of his information because you can accept it. He's a whack job. He's a nut job. He's an idiot. It's somebody that you shouldn't look. Don't look at that man behind the curtain. Yeah, folks, I'm pissed. Because people so willfully giving up their nation, their way of life, and their individual liberties. Now it's come to my backyard. It affects me. And you're going to allow somebody to inject a foreign body into your body that you know nothing about. You can come at me with attacks if you want to. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are going to. But if you disagree with me, then just shut up and take your shot. Wake up, people. Told a lie. The numbers that you've been given in these so-called statistics are garbage. Look at the studies that have come out of the universities of Los Angeles. Look at the studies that come out of Stanford. There are all kinds of doctors that are coming out that are squealing the alarm. They're screaming from the rooftops. This is bullshit, folks. They're lying to you. Yet those doctors and those experts, since it doesn't go with the official narrative, they're not going to be on TV. You're not going to see them on CNN or MSNBC, whatever. Because it doesn't follow the narrative. It's not going to follow the control factor that your masters want you to hear. Wake up, people. Wake up. The statistics, for instance, you've been given on this death rate. Did you know that the CDC and the World Health Organization has put out parameters to all hospitals and care clinics that if anybody comes into the hospital, they have to be tested for COVID-19. There is no test for the COVID-19. The test that you're talking about, developed in 1984, can't do it. It's a multiplier test. All it does is test for genetic material. It doesn't test for the virus. And you're said that if you have this genetic material, then you must have had the virus. Pseudoscience. The numbers are being cooked. And then they originally start diagnosing COVID-19 by symptoms, flu-like symptoms. Duh. You got a runny nose, you're running a temperature, feel a little nauseated, you got a cough, you getting some fluid on your lungs. COVID-19, there's a host of different things that could be causing that. This test that you're given doesn't test for COVID-19. It doesn't. The guy that designed the test said you cannot use this test to diagnose an infectious disease. The guy that designed the test said that. I think he probably would be the authority on that test. Yet they're using this test to cook the numbers. And then they're limiting the way that they gather the numbers for the statistics to show that millions of people are going to die. Ooga booga, be scared, do what we tell you. It's exactly what they've done. Here's an interesting fact. For all of us that are essential, okay? Are essential jobs, right? If this COVID-19 was as dangerous as they say it is, all of us essential workers, we should be dropping like flies right now because we've been exposed to it all. I've been to Oregon, I've been to the state of Washington, I've been to Florida, I've been to New Jersey, I've been to the hot spots, I've been in Chicago, I've been in all the hot spots. No protection. At first, there was no protection for us. We couldn't find masks, we couldn't find hand sanitizer, we couldn't find gloves, nothing. We were being cross-contaminated like crazy. None of us are getting sick. The numbers you're being told are being cooked. The CDC and the World Health Organization put down parameters that when any time that you go into the hospital, before you can be admitted to the hospital, you have to be given this test. And then if you test positive, it doesn't matter the reason why you come to the hospital. If you fell down a flight of stairs, if you had a heart attack, you're dying from lung cancer, whatever. If you tested positive on admittance of COVID-19, then COVID-19 has to go on the death certificate. The numbers are being cooked. And then we limit the number of people that we so-called test, which the test is bullshit, that we call a positive. And it gives a small denominator. So it causes the effectiveness of the fictitious disease to be extremely high. A mortality rate of 3 to 4%. That's pretty scary. Look at the Stanford University studies. They actually show that the actual people that have been exposed to this coronavirus is 80 times greater than what you're being told. The majority of people have already been affected, got over it, and didn't even realize it. The mortality, the actual mortality rate for whatever this bug is that's going through society right now is like 0.05. If you look at and what that means is this so-called bug that's running through society right now is less dangerous than the common flu. Hey, here's another statistic for you. Look at all the deaths worldwide for March 2019. Now look for all the deaths